Behind the Breaks, we got a special guest with us today, a fellow podcaster, a card collector, and former NFL coach, college coach, done it all. Ron, Coach Mac from the Thousand Card Project. How you doing, man?
Welcome in.
Oh, awesome, guys. Yeah, I'm excited to be on the show and just appreciate everything you guys do and giving back the way you do. It's awesome, man. I'm honored.
No, I appreciate that, man. We love what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're doing some pretty wild stuff after a pretty incredible career in the coaching aspect. So let's start there, if you don't mind. I mean, we were just chatting before we hit the record button here. I mean, you got a ton of helmets behind you, and you've coached at all of those programs and more. And these aren't slouches. These are big name schools, man. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, I've spent almost close to 30 years coaching in various different NFL and college programs. Actually got my start in professional baseball coming out of college. So I played college football and I'm a strength coach. And so coming out of college, I couldn't find a GA job. So I actually got a job with the Royals as an intern. I was from Kansas City.
Oh, nice.
They needed somebody to kind of run the Royals, that were still in town in the off season. So I picked up Carlos Beltran from the airport, didn't speak a word of English, and got yelled at by George Brett, which was fantastic.
Ha ha.
And then, I just went on from there, went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then various different colleges, and just recently kind of semi-retired.
And the humility that you just told that story is overwhelming. I mean,
I just jumped over a puddle. We're all good.
yeah, everything's fine. We are card collectors, and you're the man like next to the guys we're all chasing. Come on, man, tell us some stories. You went from the Royals, by the way, incredible program. I love the Royals. I was stationed outside of KC, so went to a lot of Royals games. Love Kauffman Stadium, great place.
Oh yeah, that's a great
Um,
play.
Ben Aiken, you know Ben Aiken by chance?
I don't. I
All right, he
don't.
was a communications guy there, good dude. Anyway, I mean, what's that like when you're working with these guys doing strength training? Like, do they actually push themselves? Like, these guys are beasts already, and they got you yelling at them. How's that work?
I think the biggest thing, I mean, these guys, it's kind of one of those things where when you're in it, right, it's the land of giants, so you're
Literally.
I distinctly remember yelling. We had a kid, Daniel McCullers played nose tackle for the Steelers, got drafted by the Steelers. And this kid was literally the biggest kid I ever coached. He was 6'8", 400 pounds when I got him.
Good lord.
And, I'm 5'11", and there's a day where I'm just getting after him. I mean, it's like a cartoon where I'm like, and I'm sitting there, and as I'm chewing him out, like, I just think like this guy can just come down and smash me, as we're talking here. But I think, it's one of those things like when you're in it, you just don't realize it. But then like when you bring family around or something like that, then it kind of stands out. But yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where, when you work with those guys, they're incredible people. They're incredible athletes. But you also see the good, you see the good and the bad,
Sure.
it's and so it's not this kind of like chasing this kind of idol, that out there because but so you don't really have that fandom that a lot of people have, I
Oh, sure,
think.
yeah.
But at the same time, like, you appreciate just what the work ethic, the time, the investment, and then just the pure athleticism. Like, when you're around, what the athleticism is, then you go to a pickup game somewhere and you just see people and you're like, "Oh my god, what are we doing here?" Yes.
What do you guys do?
A lot of really cool experiences, got to coach around the world, not just in the NFL, but I had 28 of the Chinese Olympic teams at one point. I worked with professional rowing team and professional rugby teams in Australia and the UK. And it's, what I tell people is I grew up single parent, 5 kids, inner city Kansas City, and this profession took me around the world and allowed me to provide for my family that,
Yeah.
things that I never even dreamt of as a kid. So it's been a cool run.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you did MLB, then you went it over to the Buccaneers. So NFL, and then what took you into the college space? And then I'm going to ask you what you preferred, if that's a fair question. College kids or the professional athletes.
Yeah, so I went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers you start off as a peon basically, right? So I was an intern with the Kansas City Royals and I was an intern for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. then at 21 years old, I got my first head strength coaching job in the NFL, which was with NFL Europe, but
Nice.
that was only a seasonal job. And so in the off season, I had to find another job to kind of support us, right?
Sure.
And so we were based in Tampa from being with the Bucks, and then NFL Europe was actually based, for training camp during that time. So South Florida opened up, which is in Tampa, and ended up getting that job, becoming the head strength coach, and spent 10 years there. And that kind of catapulted me. So, I mean, to answer your question, I think uh, I love both. I love college and pro. They're very, very different, right?
Correct.
College, you're having the kind of conversations where, these kids are coming to you and they're asking you how to make multi-million-dollar decisions when they get those opportunities because you have that kind of relationship, right? And you've been in the trenches with them for that time. In the NFL, it's very transactional, right? Everybody's kind of at an arm's length, and you hug at the end of the season. You're like, I hope you're back. I hope I'm back. We'll see what happens, type of thing. But it's also like the ingenuity and getting guys to buy into you and your program. And, like I'd always say, like, I love the mental side of that because it was how many different ways can I trick this guy into squatting today? And so it was, I enjoyed that and having to think outside the box and be creative. And then again, when you walk into those buildings, everybody has respect for everybody because they're the best of the best, you know? So like there's that mutual respect. And even if you're 21 years old, like I was, they still think that that you're elite and you know what you're doing or you wouldn't be there.
Yeah,
And
you're here for a reason,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
And yeah.
and you just have that mutual respect. So like, there's all kinds of, you get your prima donnas every once in a while, but like you just you learn the creative ways to motivate that. It makes you better as a coach, right? Because like
I
we
have
had
to
one.
imagine prima donnas don't do very well on a football team, not because of coaches, but the other players, right? I mean, these guys
That's
want rings, and if you're
yeah,
not
it's
gonna work, man, come on.
those guys. Like there's not very many of them, and the reality is when you get those guys, that's the exact conversation you have with them. You're not going to last that long. It's like talent will get you there. There's no doubt about it, but talent won't keep you there. And so those conversations, like with me as a strength coach, was like, hey, look, like if I can help you stay on the field. I remember having this conversation with Warren Sapp, as a Hall of Famer, right? Like I can help
Yeah.
you stay on the field for one more game. That's a he was literally making $16 million a year. So that was $1 million for every game that he stayed on the field in his career. And so like, helping him to do that and do that for his family, you kind of start to have that kind of mindset, and usually can get across to those guys the importance of that.
Yeah, by the way, I just can't fathom a guy. I mean, there are NFL players my size. I mean, running backs, I'm like 6 foot tall, 200 and whatever pounds. Imagine a man, 400 pounds, 6'8", chasing you and having the ability to catch you. I don't know how those guys do it, man. Like
Yeah.
Calais Campbell, I had a chance to meet him, and I think I've told RJ this story before. I shook his hand, and my hand was like a cat paw in this man's hand. He was like wearing a baseball glove compared to my hand, and I
Oh
looked at
yeah.
him like, I would drop the ball and just run. Like, "Nope, I'm done." But anyway, a lot of respect for those guys, man. Just an incredible amount. So, let's bring in the collecting piece, right? So,
That's
you have a perspective that nobody we've had on the show, has had. We had a, basketball player, but you're there and you see these guys, their work ethics, their work habits. So, were you a collector throughout this journey from the beginning?
Yeah, so I was a big time collector as a kid. We again we grew up pretty rough. I mean, single parent, 5 kids, the whole deal. And they were back in Kansas City at the time, like as an outreach for the community, like the police officers would carry around sports cards.
Yep.
And so you would flag these. I mean, I remember going in the middle of the road and flagging down cops to try to get their stack of cards, and so that was always just a big part of my childhood, right?
Yep.
That, you chase the players that you want to emulate at that time. And as I got into coaching, I didn't want, it's again, that fandom thing. Like I didn't want a bunch of pictures or jerseys or things like that, but I wanted to kind of like commemorate, those experiences, and so cards was an easy way to do that. Throw that in a binder and, got the binder right up there that I pull out every once in a while. And it's just like
Kinda
every card has a story, right?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and I think that, so that's what it was for me, is being able to pull that out and be like, oh, that's a Peter Voss card, or it's a Max Crosby card. Or I can tell you when Max showed up for the first day at 6'5", 200 pounds, and how he transformed his body, and like, and doing the things he's doing. Like, this kid was never going to be that at that time, right? Like,
right.
you just wait till you just think back to those memories of, yeah. And so cards is an easy way to kind of do that through my career. And so it's actually been rough. Like, I've had to go through this kind of transformation in this last year of like, okay, I'm not going to be, I'm going to still continue to collect the guys that I've coached, that are still playing and whatnot. But what do I do now? And
Yeah.
where do I go with it? And so I've kind of landed on kind of Hall of Fame football,
Okay.
and on that direction is kind of as a collection, I guess. And we'll talk about the 1,000 card project, but that's kind of where I'm headed with kind of the higher end cards with that.
I gotta say, man, you got an inside edge. So I think that I think people are gonna be reaching out. Hey, do I need to collect this guy? Is he gonna be somebody?
Yeah. What first question actually is, are you on any of the cards that you've collected? Like, is it a deep shot, or like you're on the sideline, or like something like that? Where you're like, that's me. I'm right there. Right. Cause I always imagine that for like a baseball card, right? Of like, they'll get crowd shots of like when someone's hitting. And I'm just like, some guy is like, that's me. Third row up, just right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I've never even thought about it. I've never even thought about it until just now. I think
The
I'm gonna have
hunt
to
is
look.
on, everybody.
It's
Right now.
interesting.
Find Coach Mac.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's things like I have, like we were on Hard Knocks one year, and so I've got like the DVD set of that. And there's all the times where you see me in the background, right? Or
Yeah. Which
um,
team though? Which team were you with?
I was with Cincinnati when I was with them.
Okay. Now
But
we're watching, man. We're finding you. Coach Mac, the hunt's on, man. I
it's,
like that,
it's funny.
RJ.
I'll give you a funny story about that. So we're getting off the practice field. We had the two linebackers. We had Ray Malaluga and Vontez Perfect, who was a
Oh,
challenge. You
Arizona
know,
State, baby.
loved him as a player, but he was a challenge.
Yes,
And
he was.
so they're interviewing a couple of players. I think they're interviewing Ray Malaluga coming off the field, and it's Hard Knocks interviewing him. I'm pulling all my equipment in a wagon behind, and I had the horn for practice. And Vontez grabs the horn and blasts it in this freaking reporter's, camera face, whole deal. And they had it in the episode. They got it there and they cut it out, because they were so pissed off at him for what.
Yeah, I would say so. It's not a pleasant. Yeah, Perfect had some issue. He was we're out here in Arizona, so he went
Oh yeah,
to
Very, very familiar.
yeah,
heck of a player, but heck of a player. But yeah, he was a fun
yeah.
guy to work with.
He played violently. I think that's the word I would use. He didn't mess around. Good player. What all right, so I'm gonna look for you in the background of these cards now. I think we're gonna have a hunt. First one, RJ, another challenge. We have a lot of challenges, RJ and I.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but matter of fact, I want to get your take at some point on our cards. I don't know if you saw that. We got a little thing going on. I think I'm gonna win, but anyway. Uh so you've gone through this thing, you're still collecting, and then here we are now. You've got fair to say you've retired from coaching altogether. And now you're working on this 1,000 card project. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I've always been an entrepreneur. I mean, I've written, I've got my PhD. I've written books. I did a podcast for several years. I've always had these creative outlets, while coaching. And so as I went into this last year, kind of knowing this was going to be the situation, I was like, a couple friends of mine kind of started talking to me about the business of cards. I started talking about the different strategies, and that kind of sucked me in. I love strategy. I love, trying different things, and just business principles and all that kind of stuff. And so I kind of got into the hobby business side of things in this last year. And, it's one of those things where I was working, coaching 16 hours a day and don't have a whole lot of time to send a bunch of, cards out and things like that, or list cards. And then And then you look at, you study it, right? You see these people that get consumed by boxes and boxes of cards, and
That never happens.
that's right. And I didn't, my wife would kill me if we had boxes of cards kind of laying around. And
You
so
don't say.
Yeah. No, when your house has that nice smell of cardboard and you don't know where it's coming from, you know exactly where yeah.
you guys will have the idea what I'm talking about.
No idea.
So there's this article in the entrepreneur space called A Thousand True Fans, and it kind of it uses the Grateful Dead as like an example, how they competed with some of the rock bands at the time when they weren't filling out these stadiums, but they were just as rich or just as, as profitable as Def Leppard or, whoever else, right?
Right.
And so the premise of the article essentially was that if you can get 1,000 people to give you $100 a year, you have $100,000 business. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I can apply this to cards in some type of way. And it's never about the money. Like I don't need the money, but it's not about the money really. It's
Sure. Yeah.
more about the strategy and trying different things. And so what I decided to do was, okay, I'm going to put $500 in because I didn't know, I hadn't really the business side of things. Put 500 and that bought me like 300 and something cards. First goal was to scale that up to 1,000 cards that were worth at least $1 a piece, just kind of flipping those up. Um, And then the goal since then has been to take those $1,001 cards and turn them into $1,100 cards.
Okay.
And I've been tracking that along the way and kind of sharing different strategies that I've tried out. And I started the podcast because again, I had a podcast in the strength world. That was the best way for me to learn, and pick
Yeah.
people's brains and just have really targeted discussions and network, and I think that's what I like about this hobby more than anything is that like you just have an opportunity to talk to really cool people and you can find common ground and everybody has a little bit different take on it. And I enjoy that piece of it. And so when I can get really actionable kind of content and then kind of put things into place right away, to me, that kind of fills that entrepreneur bucket and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So when did you launch the project and make that first 500 investment? Like a year ago?
Yeah, I started it in January this last year.
Oh, okay.
Or yeah, this year, I guess. And so I've been tracking it for about 4 to 6 weeks. And I think the last report, and I do a little weekly report
Yep.
put it up on YouTube. And
Yeah.
I think the project now, $500 investment, 300 cards it's 1,000 cards that's worth like $7,500 or $7,600.
Jeez. So it's
So
working, man.
So I just have to say, anyone out there that's listening right now, follow this man and what he's doing because just like your charting and the transparency that you use is fantastic because it's just like, hey, if I'm doing it, you can do this too, and like let's explore this essentially together, right? Because like anything, right? We have eBay and card shop, all this kind of stuff that, and I'm just like, I started getting my mind turning, going, all right, well, what am I not doing, or what am I doing, or that's incorrect or correct, but I'm just curious when you started off, when you first, all right, yeah, I've got my $500 dollars. I'm gonna go out and buy these amount of cards. Did you look like, were you looking at like the cycle up right now of like, hey, baseball is in, so let me get baseball first, or like football's coming up, let me try and get something that's over here. Did you like what was the strategy of the actual startup of that to use your first $500 wisely to try to get to your first dollar per card mark?
yeah, you're giving me way too much credit. Like I didn't know any of that.
Well, no, if you'd say Apple's axe and I just ripped them open, I'd be like, wait a second, wait, whoa. Well,
Yeah, I will say this. I was smart enough to know that I would not rip at all. Like I still don't enjoy that at all. Like I'll do it occasionally just if I'm with some friends or something
right.
and but like what I did is I took the latter part of last year, so like November, December, and I just tried a bunch of different things. Like I just bought and chalked it up to like entertainment money and I bought some boxes. I tried, this slab or that card or whatever, right? And I even put that into the project. So I had what I call debt. I had $1,400 in debt that I had spent during that time, and I've been trying to recoup that by selling it off as just bulk through this year. So I've sold, I think, $1,000 of that through this year to try to recoup that. My whole point in this is a couple things. One is if you have something like you can like no mistake is worth not that you can't overcome in some type of way. Cause
Sure.
this time last year, I was buying base Bowman first for $5 a piece, right? Like I didn't know anything about anything. Um, and then the second part of this is like, again, it's not, I don't need the money, but I think that you can show people that you could make a living out of this if you wanted to. But more importantly, like to me, it's like I pay my truck payment with it. I pay, like I pay a light bill or something with it, and for a lot of people that helps,
That's
right?
a win. Yeah, absolutely.
And so that I think I think if you just put a little bit of work into it, and what I really like about it is that the knowledge is compounding, right? So like this time last year, I'm buying Bowman first. Now I'm buying low numbered and autos and,
Yeah.
the right stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that knowledge a year from now is even gonna be compounded, and that $7,000 is gonna be whatever, $70,000. And so that's the whole point of it, is just to kinda show that, like, as you learn and grow, like, you can make money just doing about just about anything.
Yeah. I mean, I asked earlier, I was joking earlier about your insider knowledge, and as you're looking at but actually, on a serious note, can you look at, like, some of these rookies, I'll focus on football, and say, "Yeah, this kid's got this, so he's certainly" like
That or second year cards, like, hey, he had a slump. I know his talent is good enough
yeah.
to be like, he's down now. If I buy him, I can 2x this later. Like, does that come to you at all? Or is it, like like a crapshoot like all of us? We're like, we're only gonna buy some dark cards.
'Cause we don't yeah, RJ and I look at like Jackson Dart. I just like the kid's swagger before the season, and I also don't particularly care for Russell Wilson. So I
Yeah.
was thinking, "Oh, he's gonna be somebody," 'cause and I sort of right. I mean, hopefully the kid does things well, but and, we got a Tyler Shaw, I think it's how you say his name, out in New Orleans. Eh, right? I mean, New Orleans is probably gonna get the first pick. They're gonna get a quarterback. So, like, what do you see from your perspective and expertise?
Yeah,
Or do you use it?
I wouldn't say that you got, like, any insider knowledge. I think, one, I would say that I gravitate to the prospecting more so than others because, like, I see potential development, athleticism, like, you can see some of the intangibles that are probably gonna translate to
Yeah.
success. So, I would say that, yeah, when you look at guys like Zaire Hope or, Jesus Mate or somebody like that that just got unreal, like, reflexes and athleticism, you're like, "Okay, that's gonna track, right? That's gonna give them some success." I think, I think it's probably more of, like, looking at, like, injury, like Schaub, right? Like, when I looked at him and considered him for, like, these little flips or whatever, like that, he's had a ton of injuries, right? So, like, I know how that factors into a player's development, especially an older player at that level, has got a little bit, a little quicker clock, especially being at an organization where, they don't have all the pieces around them yet, and so, like, I think it's more of the knowledge of the sport has probably said, "Okay, this kid's in a better situation than this kid," like, you take
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy, like, he's in a good situation, or Bo Nix, like, we played against Bo, and I know the kinda competitor he is, and put him in that situation where he's got a good coaching staff and good organization, like, the kid's probably gonna have a pretty good career, you
Yeah.
know?
So, yeah, you do look at it differently.
Yeah.
I mean, all kidding aside, I mean, clearly you do. When you look at something, you can see, like, I know that coach is somebody that is not a head coach, but there's a coach on it in a system that develops guys from the strength perspective or some other perspective. He sees this.
Well, it's funny because
I'm gonna have you on speed dial.
well, Matt and I talk all the time, and I can't like I I love Bowman, but I hate Bowman because of the prospect. And like you said, like I'm like, all right, I like baseball's my thing, right? Like I can like anyone that's like kind of in the MLB, it's all good. But like you've got single A, double A, triple A, like you've got so much that you have to like try to retain of who's gone where and what they've done. And prospecting can be super hard. So like you're in a very unique spot of being able to just kind of understand that flow already and be like, look, there's potential here. I can get this guy for, a fraction of what he could turn into, right? It's That's crazy.
It's a wild
Yeah.
effect. Also, it's not lost on me that you just dropped a baseball player, Jesus Mate, as I was asking about. I love that. I mean, you're looking at it from all angles. But I will say, I know you wanted to throw something out there. We'll get to that in a second. Where are they gonna put him? I mean, the Brewers are the best team. Where are they gonna put him? Who are they gonna get rid of? Anyway, go ahead.
You find his potteries, good trade bait, or a lot of different things, right? I think I would go back to what I would say is maybe more than the actual athlete. It's more of the knowledge of the sports and just knowing, like what were the key measurables, what were the key um, pieces that we were looking for when we were recruiting an athlete, right? And so
Yeah,
like with ball specifically, like you would look for size, right? Like a guy that, like a Spitzer Jones, somebody like that, that just got incredible size. Like that guy can figure it out a little bit. He's going to have success, right? And, there's a kid on the White Sox right now, we'll call or whatever his name is. That's 6'8" that nobody's talking about. Like,
Have to hard I read that. Right. Well, my brother-in-law is a huge White Sox fan, so I'll be like, "Hey, this was just mentioned. Why have you not told me about this yet? What's going on?" But
and again, I mean, those guys are, and you also know that kid's 18 years old, 19
right.
years old, and the development that's going to happen over the next 4 years is gonna be incredible. So, like, if the kid has any kind of mental makeup at all, like, you're probably gonna have success, and, I think those are things that kinda factor in.
yeah. Well, let's bring it back to the 1,000 card project because I love what you're doing and I'm excited to see where this thing goes. We'll be obviously tracking because you're not going to get out of arm's reach of our show. But you said before we jumped on that you actually collect. I was surprised by this baseball more than football. Is there a reason for that? Is you just enjoy it more? Is it because you're too close to football? What was the reason for that?
Yeah, again, I mean, I collected the players that I coached, so
Sure.
that was my collecting, I guess. I mean, now I think I just think that there's a lot of opportunity with baseball because of all the different windows that they can be, that they can have some hype, and I think there's probably a bigger collector base with baseball. You look at football, it's really quarterback heavy. You look at basketball, it's really 3 or 4 player heavy. I just think that there's a lot of opportunity there from the hobby business side of things,
Yeah.
to focus on baseball. But yeah, I mean, at this point now, I'm looking at all the sports and, finding the right buy windows, right sell windows, and, but yeah, baseball, and I loved baseball growing up as well. So I think that there's a little bit of that into it as
Sure.
well.
Yeah.
So then on your buy sell side, when you're doing this project, right? Because like we come across this when someone puts an offer in on a card, right? Is it like a rebuttal? Do you have like a sheet since you're so like data driven, like, hey, I can't go below like a 20% off on whatever that might be. Because that's the struggle sometimes to like, man, you get someone on the hook that's trying to buy a card and they're already at a little reduction of price. Like, are you like, man, do I just take it or am I doing a pushback and try and get that extra couple bucks? Like it's the dance, right? You're dealing the dance constantly. So, like, what is your strategy when you kind of go into marking a card up for price? Are you going straight off of comps? Or are you trying to build in a little padding? How does that work?
Yeah, I go off my buy price, because I try to take a rising tide raises all ships type of approach, and so, like, if somebody else can get a win out of what they're buying it off of, as long as I get the win that I'm looking to get, which again, that what I originally had thought that I was gonna do with the 1,000 card project was I was gonna buy a $1 card, sell it for, you know, a dollar profit, and make it $2 and buy, $2 card and sell it for $3 and kind of stair step my way up. What the strategy is more evolved into now is that I like the dollar boxes. I like trying to find the value. I like that stuff that's very liquid. I know it's going to move, and so I'll try to sell. I'll try to find those cards for $1 and I can sell for 2.99, and with all the fees and everything, I'm going to walk away with $1 profit. If I sell 200 of those, that gives me, $200 to go buy $200 Hall of Famers that are graded that I'm just going to throw in a safe, and I'll list them for, a 1.5 multiplier. If somebody buys it, they buy it. If they don't, like, I got it in my safe and I know I can move it if I need to move it, and,
Yeah.
um, that's kind of the strategy right now where I'm really struggling and is that mid range, like, like I'd like to get into that. I think that strategy is raw to grade, but I don't, I really kind of despise the grading process. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Raise your hand if yeah.
Yeah, right. I think everyone listening's nodding their head right now because I think we all kind of struggle with it.
so I finding that mid-range strategies is kind of, I've been struggling with, but I'm an early adopter. Like I tried, I'll tell you the thing that it's been taking a lot of my attention lately has been the NFT space and collectibles on the NFT space. I think there's some
Interesting.
opportunity there.
Hmm.
Anything in particular like that you're seeing that you're interested in, or
Yeah, so I had a guy on. I was one of the first guys that subscribed to his channel because I think when I see things that are trending and or things that I think are the future, and so just kind of doing some research in the blockchain and things for my own personal kind of investment strategies. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that things are going to move more digital. In the future, like I think everybody would agree with that. There's gonna be steps to that. Like, I think people are gonna put physical assets on the blockchain, so they're gonna take PSA 10s and BGS 95s or whatever, and they're gonna put those on the blockchain. I think there's gonna be a piece of that, but I think, eventually it's gonna go to where everything is just digital and you never even see the physical asset, and so these NFTs that are existing right now that are scarce, that are look very similar, that you could pull up on your phone and show somebody, like, I think there's
yeah.
opportunity with that. So, like, I
I
bought a
think
LeBron.
Brian's been dabbling in that for a while.
He does some of the basketball, I believe.
Yeah, our brother-in-law, he dabbles. He's been doing that for a while. So he's
Yeah,
an
but
very early adopter. Yeah, he gets into that pretty deep. And
yeah, but I totally see where you're going in that direction too, because like easily someone, right? You set up a fund and you're starting to collect Mickey Mantles and all this kind of stuff, and then you just sell portions via the blockchain off of, hey, we have this, but you can own a piece of it. Some like stuff like that. Like there's so much you can do. Yeah, there's so much you can do, because even with, like the company Arena Club,
Yep.
if you go on and you purchase with them, right, they essentially use, that you can see the transactional process of everywhere it's been or who's ever had it or collected it,
Yeah,
right? And you're
transparent.
like exactly, and you're like, it's totally transparent, you see who's had it and what they you don't see pricing, obviously, but which is fine, but, like, you can see, like, "Hey, this has been owned by 7 different people, so people are just flipping this card," right? There's one guy that had it for 8 months. You're like, all right, he's legit collecting it. But yeah, so it's really interesting to see where we're gonna go in the next couple of years with all this stuff.
and Arena is almost digital. I mean, because you buy the card, it sits there, you see it, it spins around, it looks all fun, and you can either say ship it to me or leave it there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
I think everybody's like, it's starting to train, like, you're starting to train, like, again, it's that adoption curve, right? Like, you're
Yeah.
starting to train everybody to think more digital, right? They're buying and selling. They're okay with it because they know that there's a physical asset there. But the truth is, a lot of people are buying it and selling it without ever having touched it.
yeah.
And eventually, that's just going to go away. Is my contention. But just like anything, like just like I look at this like a portfolio, right? So 10%, 100 cards of my 1,000 cards are going to be NFTs, and I'm just if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it's 10% of my portfolio.
Nice. Yeah.
Fascinating.
See, diversify. That's what we're not doing. I'm just going all in on Aaron Judge right now, and I'm like, please pay off. No,
I think you're okay there. I don't won't be a problem.
I don't know, man. I'm still shocked at the amount of people that were, Hall of Famers from like, the '90s coming up, right? That like, man, I talk about you can get an autograph of some of these guys, low numbered for a couple $100, but yet, a Skeens rookie patch is going for 1 million, and I'm just like, what's wrong with the world here?
What's your
Like
perspective?
this guy is already proven and has done all, and like the prospecting of he could be like this guy, but wait a second. But if he could be like this guy, why is his
But
card?
that guy is that guy,
Yeah.
and he's in the Hall of Fame. Like,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous, right? I think as anybody that knows it knows that that's ridiculous. But that said, like I think it's just understanding like hype and understanding the hobby and knowing that there's an opportunity in both. Like right now, I'm buying Hall of Fame football players because I know just like our generation, you know, our parents were talking about the baseball Hall of Famers, and so that's what we collected, right? And we kind of grew up with baseball. Our kids are growing up with football being their favorite sport, right? And so next time around, when the cycle goes back, they're going to be going back and trying to get the Patrick Mahomes and the, you know, the, you the various different quarterbacks or whoever, right? They're going to go and find those players. So I'm buying a lot of these, like Lawrence Taylor rookies and guys like that I know, like you just throw them in the safe and see what happens. Um, so I think that's the opportunity, but at the same time, like moving that low end liquid, that's going to be, that there's going to be a hype for those quarterbacks every fall, right? And so you buy them and you sit on them and you sell them in the fall. And same thing with the prospects in baseball. That every spring training, there's going to be hype around those guys. There's going to be a sell window. So I think as long as you play that game, and I think when you have consistent systems and processes in place that that you can make pretty decent money, then you can take 10% of your portfolio and put it towards something that may or may not work with the NFTs or a prospect that you want to say that I'm going all in on this guy, and if it works out, it works out.
Yeah. Let me ask you, put you on the spot here. What was the last card you purchased? Most recent card you purchased, and
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
yeah, for the $100 card, it was I bought both a Montana rookie and a Dan Marino rookie PSA. I think the Montana was an 8 or 7, and the Marino was an 8.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, you're extremely deliberate. That's what I'm hearing. You're going about this in a very deliberate fashion. And this is a question is almost like therapy. How do you keep emotion?
Oh,
How do you keep emotion out of your purchases? And I mean, again, you're doing a very deliberate. I love the concept. Thousand card project's brilliant, but for me, I get caught up in emotion
Yeah.
at times.
I think how I manage that is that I make my emotion about the guys that I coached and that kind of being my PC to where, like, if I see a player that I coached in a dollar box, I'm buying it all day, every day. Or I see an auto of the guy that I coached at the card shop, I'm going to buy it for one, just so I have that card if it's one that I don't have, but also to support that card shop, and kind of justify it that way, And so, like, that's my strategy when I go to a card show, to a card shop, is that's my I can always find something, but when it comes to like the hobby business side of it, I have my systems and my processes and I stick to them. And as I learn new things, I'll put a little bit of percentage of that into trying new things, and be okay with that. But I'll be honest with you, like I haven't taken very many L's so far, and
Good for you, man.
maybe I haven't scaled as fast as maybe some others would do.
Yeah.
I haven't taken very many L's, and that's just the competitor in me. I don't want to lose.
Well, I'm taking them for you, so you're fine. Everything's
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go back to the drawing board because we have an eBay store. It's got 34,000 listings, right? Crazy. Our brother-in-law Brian manages all that. And his method with shipping and all this stuff is amazing. But like, I keep thinking, I'm like, man, I got to prune this down because, like, even talking to you, you're like, hey, I'm very deliberate with what I'm doing with a small amount to get to this end goal. We were like, hey, you know, I've got a whole bunch of cards when I was a kid. Let's list them. Let's do all this stuff. And like, some stuff hasn't moved in 4 years, right? And I'm like, all right, I got to cut my loss on this and just rethink something, right? But, um, and I think that's where when you're going through your numbers, I thought it was interesting that you broke down each platform that you're selling with, right? eBay and Collects and Facebook Marketplace, all that kind of stuff. Did you, when you go in, because like we use CardDealerPro and all that kind of stuff, but we haven't branched into Collects yet. Like, are you finding it? Are you listing that same card through all platforms and managing a system that way, and then kind of taking down? Because I know Collects will help manage some of those platforms. I'm not sure if they're in Facebook Marketplace yet, but like, are you finding it super simple that way of like, hey, I'm just listing once, but it's blasting it out all over the place and makes it super efficient and part of your systems that you're talking about for maximizing success?
Yeah, to me, I think that again, going back into coaching, right? Or it is you have to have the tools to be successful. I believe that, and so having a 8170 scanner or a V600 flatbed scanner for the slabs, or having Card Dealer Pro and that software, and being able to list to multiple platforms and then a delist from platforms when they sell, and making that super efficient, like, to me, that's worth the initial value, or initial kind of profits going right
Yeah, it
back
pays
in.
for itself. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, I think you got to have those in place, and that way you can scale. If I wanted to go to 50,000 listings, like I could probably do that pretty quick now because I have the systems in place. I just don't want to manage that many cards,
Oh yeah.
and I don't, again, I think that person that's doing that is probably hoping to get to maybe $100,000 or something, right? And I think that I could do that a different way, and so yeah, I would say that CardDealerPro is the software that allows you to list to multiple platforms and then delist, and that's getting better. They just integrated with Shopify. They just integrated with Whatnot recently as well. So like in one click, I can push to those 4 different platforms pretty easily.
Yeah, I figure Amazon is pretty close probably on their horizon too for the integration, because at some point it makes sense to just I bought cards through Amazon for some Project Purple I did for some NWSL cards and stuff, and I was just like kind of blew me away. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I didn't even think to look for singles on Amazon." But they're there, man. They're there. They're in all spots. So,
Yeah. I love the approach. I mean, I'm gonna just go back to the having a system because for me and for I don't know how RJ feels about this, I get overwhelmed easy with volumes of cards, but I do like to have a few cards, that I can think about moving. The system, I think, is something that I need to start thinking about. I mean, if you're not listening to this guy, you gotta pay
yeah, I get
attention.
too I know my fault. I get too emotional because, like, for instance, I just had an Otani Bowman rookie, right? And I got it for $1,000. And, he has that amazing game, like, what, 3 home runs, 10 strikeouts. His card immediately jumped to, like, $3,500. And I was asking Matt, and I'm like, "Do I sell it now? Like, what do I like, the World Series is coming up. What do I do? Do I take the money now and just, So I ended up I have it listed, like, 'cause I was hoping the World Series would have gone a little bit more better for him maybe, but, uh so I put it up. I'm like, "You know what? I'll put it up at 5 grand. If someone buys it, like, I'm okay, like, letting that go, right?" But, like, at 37, I'm like, "I think there's a lot of room for growth still to hold on to this." So I'm like, "We'll go there." But, like, emotion was definitely coming in on that one. I'm like, "Man, this elevated in a couple months from just $1,000 to, almost 4 grand." I was like, "This is crazy."
Yeah,
Go ahead,
yeah,
man.
I think history. I think one, like again, like I'm a big history person. Like I think you look at history across the board and you just say like how where's the room of cards that have done of similar players, and I think there's always an opportunity to buy back in on guys, and so like that's like right now a good example for me is like Michael Penix, right? I coached Mike. He's a great player. I love him. I think he's going to have a good career. His autos are super, higher than I want to pay for him right now, right? And so like I know at some point I'm going to be able to buy his cards for not very much money, and I don't have to buy into that hype right now. I think for you, like with Otani, like I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with that guy. That guy's like the best to ever live, that ever lived. Me personally, I'm throwing that sucker in a safe, and I don't know. We'll see what happens, But you could also again, like I mean, how many Kai's cards have gone over $5,000 for that particular card?
Yeah.
Right.
They're
Yeah, his
kind of
trajectory is insane. I was reading something this morning, and, some guy just did the numbers right after World Series. It's on a steep vertical climb, and there's no anticipation it's gonna stop because he's
So what you're saying is I'm gonna check my phone after this interview, and it's gonna be like, "Hey, you just sold a $5,000 car for." I'll be like, "Yeah."
and then next year, we'll be talking to coach here, and then I'll be like, "Damn it, the card's 50 grand now."
I think just like with anything too, though, I think that like that's like I've had that, and I think that's where the emotion comes in is when you've had you've had a card and then it's gone higher. But at the same, like my thought is always like, what can you do with what you got?
Yeah.
And I think when you turn over a card like that, what can you do with that $5,000? I know for me, like I'm gonna bet on me, like I can 3x that. I know I can, and get
Actually,
me
I had
3x.
this discussion with my wife too, 'cause I'm like she's like, "Well, what would you do if you sold it?" I'm like, "If I sold it, I would immediately turn around and I would buy a 1934 Lou Gehrig card."
Yeah.
And I graded a 1. I don't even care. A 1 would is like $2,700. I'm like, I'd still be able to pocket a grand of ish, and then I could still have something that is
The grill.
100 years old that will do nothing but improve in value,
Right.
So,
Yeah. Smart.
but
Yeah.
We
For
all have
sure.
our thing. Yeah, real quick on the emotion, then we're gonna start hitting our rapid fire stuff, but, I'm the emotional nut. RJ's over here grabbing Ohtani's. I get wrapped up in Ernie Clement. Did you hear this dude's story? He bought his glove broke. And did you hear this?
No, I haven't heard this one yet.
Glove broke. Yeah, third baseman. His glove broke during the season. He bought a glove on eBay because it was broken in. Bought a glove on eBay, and he's been using it real serious. In an interview, and he's like, I don't know where I got it. Got on eBay, and he's like, why didn't you buy a new glove? Because it wasn't broken in. It's mid-season. And I'm like, I'm buying that dude's car. Like, as a salt of the earth. Yeah, right? Just get on eBay, man. So that's my emotion. I watch World Series, and I'm watching eBay like, I like that guy. Let's do this. That guy's has no value, but anyway, no disrespect, Ernie. I love you, man. All right, man. We're gonna bring this thing home, but you got to come back on the show. We're gonna be tracking the 1,000 card project, and I hope everybody's listening, jumps over, follows, loves you, and starts listening because very deliberate what you're doing. I can't wait to see this thing just explode, and then we'll be asking you about the 10,000 card project or whatever. You're gonna have to change it, man. I see this thing just going really well. So I'm gonna do this 2 ways here. You ready, man?
Yep. Let's do it.
Okay. Actually, real quick, before I do this, what card did you own that you'll never sell? One card. You have to give me one.
I have a Randall Cunningham rookie card. That's
Randall.
PSA
QB
10.
Eagles. Yeah.
And so
Love
I
it.
was when I was a kid, I was a quarterback, and so I wore number 12 because of Randall Cunningham. I was born in Philadelphia. That's
No kidding.
my dad's favorite team, and so like he was just a player that I tried to emulate. And so I had a poster in my room that was the bomb squad, and it had Cunningham and Elway and Montana and Kozar and Esiason, and I can't remember who else, but I'm trying to recreate that poster
Oh, love that, man.
That's super
it's
cool.
with
look,
PSA 10s. So
Yeah.
awesome.
that's
Yeah.
That's
kind of
crazy.
fun right now.
All right, I love it.
So
So
everyone's got an end goal with their collection.
I know, I love
like,
And then-
and everyone's got something just like you said, like everyone's got a different take and they're coming from a different part of life, but yet you have like common ground going like, this is what I find pretty cool. And you're like, I didn't think about that.
I love the idea of recreating that poster.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, we do a little thing on this show, and we're going to set up a scenario for you, and you tell us who you'd throw up at the plate. So this is baseball. You ready?
All right.
Bottom of the ninth.
Yep, let's do it.
You're down by 3 runs.
Okay.
3 runs. Who are the first 4 batters you're throwing up at the plate? And you can pick anybody. You can pick RJ's Gehrig, or you can pick whomever you would like. No wrong answers.
Anybody on base?
Nobody. No, the
Yeah.
inning's fresh.
Yep. You got to.
And I don't know who's pitching. Who's pitching? We don't care. It doesn't
I'm
matter.
putting
Who's leading off?
starting off with Henderson,
Ricky.
All right.
getting on base, following it up with Gwynn.
I love this man. Yes.
I would probably go Mattingly,
Oh, nice.
All right.
Okay.
and then, well,
Oh.
You don't necessarily have to the grand school. I guess he's got to hit at least one run, but you're bringing runs in, right? Like if Bentley's getting a hit, that guy's Ricky's coming around.
Well,
for
hitter's
sure,
coming
saying,
in, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Ricky's coming in, and Gwynn got a double at least,
Yeah.
right? He had more doubles than he.
Yes.
I'm struggling with either go Mattingly, who just gets on base, or do you and so now you come up with either Bonds or Shohei.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer in that 4-hole. So
Yeah. I mean, you could love that. I
One
love
of
that.
one of those two is going to hit the home run. So you got Ricky's getting on, and he's either still on base, he's getting the 2 and getting in off the double off Gwynn. Gwynn's getting in with a single, or, off of Mattingly or whoever, and then I think you got
And
I
then
think-
ball game. Dinger, it's over. Love it.
Bonds.
Oh, that's fair. Maybe we need to expand it to 5. No,
all right. Then the bases are loaded, and then just Bonds just hits a grand slam.
just ends it. There's no place to put it.
Exactly.
Oh,
go.
man.
Unless you
No, you did great. As you said, Gwen. That's all
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm a huge Gwen fan. Love the guy. Think.
I just picked up a couple of Gwynn rookies the other day.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I grabbed 1 or 2 when we were
I
at the
think I was
national.
flown around. I think. Yeah.
We went to the national. I grabbed 1. All right, I'm going to try something real quick. You're a football guy. Okay, you can't use Brady. You got 1 minute. You're down by I don't care 4 or 5. Who's your quarterback? Okay. It's a new one, RJ. A little spin there. You see what it is? I got a NFL coach. You got
Yeah. Baseball's over now, so we got to transition. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're talking quarterback, Montana, I mean, that guy was just clutch.
Really?
Yeah.
In this day and age, I would have thought okay, now I need a guy like that can move also, that can run if need be. So I'm surprised you went with Montana, but I like it. I like the throwback
He's a good one.
to the guy.
Yeah,
All
I mean,
right.
yeah, the coach in me would ask, "What are the pieces I got around him?"
Yeah.
You know what though?
Yeah,
That
Jerry
Uncle
Rice
Cliff,
and John Taylor and Dwight Clark. Then I'm going with Montana.
Montana. All
Much-
right. Well, this has been a blast, man. I'm very, very much excited to keep track and see what's happening with the project, and we're going to be right there with you and look forward to it. And I hope everybody out there gives you a follow, jumps on, and starts listening to what you're doing. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
man.
thanks for jumping on.
I'm excited. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to get you on our podcast and dig in a little bit on. I got some good ones just off this conversation. So
Right
I'm
on,
excited.
man. We're down for it. All right, we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Brakes. We appreciate you being here with us and helping us grow this community. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
Make sure to like, follow, or subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.